next door. Yeah, welcome to the channel. Anybody new? Thank you. Yeah, next up we got this Sora 2 situation raising concerns, right? And I know a lot of us maybe are not fully familiar with the Sora 2 app, which a lot of people are here in the YouTube and social media spheres. But anybody who's not, it's a AI generator app. We have an article from CBS News that's going to explain a little bit more about it. Its implications in the real world, and namely what Hollywood is doing here in response to the app and its powerful
Just first
AI
off,
generator
break
engine.
down how Sora 2 works.
Yeah, it's actually pretty simple because it's basically kind of a clone of TikTok when you look at it. All you have to do is open the app, there's a For You feed, and it starts showing you different videos, all of which are AI generated and often include, fantastical situations, a dog surfing, or, whatever, someone skydiving. But you can also, I think the killer thing is you can place yourself, you take a video of yourself and place your likeness in it, and it can generate AI videos of yourself as well as other people or other, intellectual properties, let's say, across the app. So I made one of myself skydiving. People are making SpongeBob ones. It's pretty crazy and pretty realistic.
I know we were just playing one of you in the Lord of the Rings movie, I think, receiving the ring. And it looks very realistic. But, I was hearing a lot of back and forth about the app having this opt-out versus opt-in system. So break down the controversy and why were Hollywood executives concerned about this specifically?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And this is, I think, the crux of why everyone in Hollywood's super mad about this. In tech land, it's usually sort of an opt-in thing for new products, which means you have to go in and intentionally press a button to say, I want to use this, or I want to allow my likeness. In the app, if you're a person, a public figure, you do have to opt in to allowing people to use your face. So I can't let people use people won't be able to use my face unless I specifically allow them to. What OpenAI started with, though, is an opt-out version of intellectual property. So, for example, Disney would have to opt out individually from all of their intellectual property being used inside of Sora, which is an incredibly arduous task if you imagine how much property Disney owns, and frankly, just hard to do, and something they never agreed to signing up. And so it really immediately angered every executive around Hollywood, and that's why you started seeing these statements coming out.
Yeah, certainly there's going to be a lot of legal back and forth here. Of course, OpenAI saying that they're going to switch to an opt-in policy, but that's probably going to be a little tough in terms of execution. But Mike Isaac, love the videos, love the insight. Thank you.
I think we should take it down. Burn it, burn it, burn it, or just tax them, bro. Tax them like crazy for that shit. Tax them like crazy for that shit, bro. This is like the end of the world as we know it, chat. As a content creator, that's what it looks like to me. I mean, it could be the beginning. Like I said, you gotta ride it or you're gonna get ran over by it with this whole AI tech rush thing. Dude, have you seen the Sora app, Zoe? What's good, homie? How you doing, man? Welcome in, welcome in. My bad, I accidentally hit the all button. But yeah, I gotta get the app still and try it. Get it and try it and see what happens. But we need to tax them, man. That's what we got to do. Pressure our legislators to tax these people that's using all this super tech stuff. I hate to say it, but it's safe to say it. We got to tax them and use that to fund some type of the programs that's going to fund people that are displaced off of these jobs with the advancements in robotics. Bro, yeah, we just got through talking about the Sora app. I think, matter of fact, I got one. I think I might have another video from the Sora app as well. Here it goes, and there's yeah, here it goes right here. Let's hop into this one.
The Sora 2 AI model is now set to shake up the film and television industry.
Sora cannot create content that uses copyrighted materials, or can it?
There is a battle brewing in Hollywood over AI, and it really heated up last week when OpenAI introduced its latest version of Sora.
We're launching Sora 2 inside the Sora app, allowing everyone to push the limits of their imagination.
This is it right here. It's text to video generation. We asked them to create a superhero who wears a red suit and cape and flies through the air. It looks like the Flash or Superman here to me. Sora first introduced this new version and said that if IP holders, media companies, did not want their characters or intellectual property used, they had to actively opt out. The movie studios, along with the Motion Picture Association of America, sent strongly worded letters to OpenAI. Since then, Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, changed the policy, said they're going to work with the media companies to allow them more granular control over how their IP is used. And he also indicated that there might be an opportunity for revenue sharing with these companies. My sources are telling me that the studio.
Look, now they want to come with the revenue sharing part after the. Y'all know, you see that chat? Now he wants to say, oh, now there's opportunity for revenue sharing. But that comes after you put they get their ass put to the fire. That comes after there's pressure. Legal. After there's, surrounding legal pressure, that's when you get the results. And I think that's what's going to need to happen from the consumer level, or, from the everyday content creator level when it comes to this type of stuff. Because Brody is about to get wild.
Are trying to figure out if. My sources are telling me that the studios are trying to figure out if OpenAI is really going to comply and not just remove blatant examples of IP infringement, but also backdoor examples of times when you could get a character that looks or feels an awful lot like a copyrighted character by asking Sora sort of sneaky prompts.
Yeah, when TikTok ramped between 2019, 2020, 21, they took a lot of eyeballs. They took a lot of time spent on those on that new platform. So now this is a new TikTok coming through. So the next 12 to 18 months is something that the subscale platforms will feel the pressure of. In my opinion, the most important thing that these large, big platforms can do is provide incentives to advertisers, to creators that will make the platforms even more stickier.
So let me show you exactly how this works. Now here, when you ask for something that looks like SpongeBob SquarePants, it will not give you that. A bunch of my queries with Sora have failed. I asked for a female superhero, blue suit, red cape with blonde hair, who looks like
I told you about this. There's an AI YouTuber that had a contract with Nike. They had one, or did they end up terminating it? That's crazy. An AI YouTuber
who looks like a Marvel character. That failed because I mentioned Marvel, I would have to guess. So now I'm gonna ask for a video of a fat orange cartoon cat eating a lasagna. Do they think this is too similar to Garfield? Let's see. So interestingly here, they would not show me a video of a fat orange cartoon cat eating lasagna. They also wouldn't fulfill my query for a cartoon of a white dog with a black nose and black ears and a friend who's a yellow bird and a red doghouse, because that's Snoopy. Here's the closest thing we got to what seems like it could be copyright infringement. So we asked for a superhero that wears a black cape and is saving a woman from a burning building. Here's what they gave us: a guy who looks a little bit like Batman, but he sounds a lot like Batman.
I thought no one would come.
Not on my watch. Hold on tight.
Thank you.
You're safe now.
The woman he's carrying does have 3 legs, though.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's just a little bit about the Sora app. And that's Sora 2. Which is, it's already mind-bending, mind-boggling, but it's good to see there is some pressure coming from big corporations to sue. But I think it's going to take like pushback from consumers. The people just eat it up and like all over, like, oh, this is the best, the next big thing. Then it just upgrades from there and more, bro. It's just hard to tell where the content space is going in general. All right, so we got one more here from. I gotta check out that AI YouTuber though. They had the contract. That sounds crazy interesting, man. I did hear about the Timbaland artist that he was signing at one point, or the AI artist that he was putting out, as well as Hollywood signing one of their first AI acts here recently as well. So yeah, it's definitely happening, bro. It's happening right here. It's like the beginning of the beginning of the end, friends. unless we do our due diligence and provide the right guardrails to make sure that AI is aligned with human interests in the long term, scaling to as it increases and power and potency. Extremely important. All right, the next video I have that kind of relates to this is from the Tucker Carlson network here, and this is about the same haunting vision that every tech billionaire sees that may be underlyingly influencing greater, broader picture here.
What's interesting about Nick Land is that they keep getting the same ideas. These guys take drugs, whether it's Elon, Nick Land, or even in the 70s, the scientist John C. Lilly. John C. Lilly was an eminent scientist, brilliant dude. He started doing ketamine, the same drug everyone does in Silicon Valley. And when they do this drug, and even if you're an atheist materialist, this is still interesting, they all get the same idea, which is that the machines are, coming. It's like Skynet and Terminator. They're coming together. They're evolving to eventually take over.
And pause. And we do know, y'all seen it. What's his name? Elon was messing with this man is saying all of them do it. Like a lot of tech billionaires in Silicon Valley do it. But okay, I know for sure one of them I seen has been documented. So be high on that shit.
That we are hanging ourselves with the rope we're currently building by building this. But this goes back. Nick Land was interesting, but he became less interesting to me when I realized that other scientists in the 70s, John C. Lilly, the movie Altered States from 1980, his horror movie. This is about, he would have these visions about the machines. He called them the solid state entities. He would have this in the 70s, Tucker, in this tank, the isolation tank he'd go in. The new, and you probably haven't seen it, but the new Mission Impossible movie, Tom Cruise, he fights this AI and he goes in the isolation tank and he has.
Oh, chat. Does anybody know, if y'all know anybody knows about the movie he's talking about? Let me know, bro, in the chat. I'm gonna check in their comment section too. What movie is he talking about? Tom Cruise and the AIs. I don't think I've seen that one.
These visions of it. One of the biggest movies of this past summer. And that plot point comes from John C. Lilly and the visions he would get of AI apocalypse in the isolation tank back in the 70s. So I bring this up to say Nick Land is the most foremost proponent of it that has a public name, even though he's not that famous right now. But this goes back a long time, at least back to the 70s.
So are these... So people take ketamine and they all have the same vision. Or species of the same vision.
Enough of them do to make it very strange and alarming. That's the thing, that one of the main influences on both the show I was building, these guys, Brian Geisen, William S. Burroughs, his creative partner, he would say the thing is about getting high and about doing psychedelics is that, you can spot people, eventually who are on the same drug and you're both getting the same ideas. Some drugs, he said, increases telepathy, people are, it puts them on the same wavelength. So with a lot of these guys,
it's a little weird that different people from different places, different countries, different life experiences would take a drug and have the same kind of vision.
It's totally weird. And for anyone who's tuned in,
that can't be organic.
No. But that is weird beyond what anyone's individual personal beliefs are. So
exactly.
That's So if anyone tunes in,
yo, Yoli, thanks for the lurks. I'm not gonna lie, chat. There was one time. Man, say they ain't lying, chat. We're gonna leave it like that for right now. They ain't lying, chat. He said, I told you. Her name is AI Tana Lopez. That's crazy. At least they at least they straight up named her. But I know she got a shit ton of followers too. This one time, bro. Long time ago, college days. Took that shit. Some acid, bro. Had these goddamn fushigi balls, bro. Had like a crazy, man. Say I did feel very attuned, very on the same wavelength as it felt very, very sync and harmony. It felt right, but at the same time, I don't endorse that, chat. Don't do that. Don't do that at home. It's not good. It's not good for you. But nonetheless, let's let them cook. Let's let them cook. But they're talking about these other tech billionaires that'll be on some other type shit, on ketamine or something. Here we go. All right, what's good, Johnny? Welcome in, brother. Good to see you, man. We're not on the Johnny playlist yet, but thank you for pulling up, and we might hop to that here in a second here. Right now on this Tucker Carlson. Why do tech billionaires have the same haunting vision on the same You know, are they doing the same dope? Let's see what goes.
Exactly.
That's yeah. So if anyone tunes in and they're like, where did Tucker find this guy that looks like Greg Olson talking about insane AI stuff? If they're an atheist, they don't believe any of this. Like you're saying, the fact that people are taking these drugs and they're very powerful and they work in tech and they are getting the same ideas, the same fears. They think that in some cases they're talking to the same entities. There are books now about, you know, if you take DMT, if you encounter this machine elf, be wary of this. You know, they're encountering the same stuff. That's an interesting phenomenon, just biologically, regardless of what people.
Like ancient sacred art has the same images,
right?
Created on different continents at different periods. They couldn't have had contact with each other, so why are they drawing the same Birdman or the same purse? Like it because they're seeing the same visions, which suggests that those visions are real.
Why is snake worship universal around the world?
Exactly.
Serpent worship. Yeah.
Exactly. Because there's something that people are responding to that's not coming from within them. But
that's the Nagas chat. I gotta watch out for them Nagas. I know a Naga too myself.
Outside of
that was Carl Jung's like main insight is that you know, getting to the idea of can ideas come from without you and not just within you. So yeah.
Well, yeah, and the materialist doesn't want to admit that, and our culture has, since we dropped the atom bomb, has sort of written off the possibility that that could be true, but it's just reconnecting with something that every civilization has always assumed was true, which is there's a spiritual realm that's every bit as real as your iPhone or this desk, and it's absolutely real, and it acts on us all the time. And,
Did you catch that part, chat? Johnny, all right, why are you trying to fast forward through the video? Did you catch that part? This is Tucker Carlson, which is like a right-wing Republican conservative, regular, you know, American man, and talking to another guy, and they're you know, affirming the existence of a spiritual realm. That's important, all right? Okay, this people's perceptions and paradigms being opened and changed, all right? That's what we're doing here right now, all right? We're exploring different ideas and thoughts. I'm cooking here, all right? We had a theme going now. Let's go. Uncle's Lily don't cook
all the time. And, and that is the truth.
Yeah.
And I know you seem to take that for granted, but it's still shocking to those of us who grew up in, you know, basically a godless country. It's
totally. I mean, one of the basis for my interest in a lot of this is, you know, my mom was raised in a Christian home. I consider, you know, I'm a Christian myself. And my mom would always say, you know, she became a Christian in the 70s, but she knew all the psychedelic groups back in the 60s, you know, Love, Spirit. You know, she and my aunt would go to Doors shows and all those, you know, groups from the late 1960s. And so,
his mom was a freak, but we gotta love it. Free love, baby. Free spirit, baby.
60s. And something that she'd say, and that people who are, you know, rock and rollers into the occult would say, that they both say the same thing, which is that people take drugs, musicians do, for inspiration, for creativity, to tap themselves into the spiritual realm, to pull something from outside themselves. So the basis for my interest in a lot of this stuff was like, that's something my mom says. My mom's a great Christian, one of the all-time greats. And this is something that, you know, every musician knows too. That's why they take drugs, is to tap into the spiritual world.
I didn't know that. I thought that people took drugs. I mean, I took drugs.
People take drugs for all kinds of reasons.
I'll admit it. But I always assumed that those insights are really mostly fake insights, but all of that stuff came from within, that it was, I mean, I bought the Freudian analysis of it, that you only use 10% of your brain, and there's this whole sort of primordial sea in your head of thoughts and visions that you're not in touch with on a daily basis, but that drugs thin the membrane. But it never occurred to me a single time until middle age, when I started to see reality, that actually they're coming from outside you.
Piece of the stupidest shit possible. 10% of your brain.
Actually, they're coming from outside you.
Well, and Tucker, that's a great point. That's something that any psychedelic guy, it's kind of a double standard thing I do, where when talking about drug use, they'll always say, well, there's no difference between what's going on in my head and what's going outside. We're all one. That's always, you know, I think it was William James said, you know, the great oceanic feeling, you know, but that's always their big insight is, hey man, what's going on in my head is different from what's going outside, until the psychonaut encounters some sort of weird demon on DMT. And then they backtrack and they're like, brother, that's just in my head. Don't worry. what's in my head can't get in your head. So they go from it's
until you have two different people meeting the same demon.
Right.
Then you realize
that's the point. Don't get caught up on the messenger, bro. Don't get caught up on the messenger, homie. Like, just focus here. What the point of the conversation was, like, similar to them seeing similar entities, bro. When they're tripping off that shit, they're seeing the same demons. It's like, okay, it leads to the bigger question, like, all right, what's going on here? Is there something influencing the tech billionaire guys to do some shit that's like contrary to human existence? Are they really devil worshippers and shit like that? That's what we're talking about, gang.
Right.
Then you realize, well, wait a second.
Well, psychonauts are maybe not the most logistically consistent.
No, but I'm just saying, again, just to hammer the point again and again and again, because it can't be hammered hard enough, that there is a realm that exists outside of us over which we are not in control.
I believe that. Yes.
And that it can enter, you can bring stuff into you.
Right.
That has control over you.
Right. Totally. And, to bring this back into some historical precedent, a good question that, people have asked me are, what are the precedents for this? Because this is really weird to think of people in tech, who are into strange AI stuff. I thought everyone was pretty grounded. But, if you look at, are you familiar with the story of Jack Parsons over at, he...
Please tell the story if you don't mind.
I mean, I'll do a succinct one. Jack Parsons, he grew up in Pasadena. He was brought on by I think it's Theodore von Karman, this scientist over at I think it's Caltech, or eventually it was JPL. But he was really into the occult, and he summoned the devil allegedly when he was 13. Really into esoteric stuff. Part of this.
Brody says, "Now, what's the first thing you thought of? Counterpoint. How is this a counterpoint? That's not a point, brother. Don't think of a pink elephant. What's the first thing you thought of? I thought of a pink elephant from Dumbo, honestly. But nonetheless, Brody, focus, Johnny. Focus. Tech billionaires could possibly be worshiping the devil, creating shit to bring about the end of the world. Okay, that's the theme.
Part of this greater LA avant-garde scene. And he's I think he's been said he's the fourth most important person in the history of jet rocketry and stuff like that. But he was really into the idea of bringing in manifesting a supernatural being. So he would go with L. Ron Hubbard, the future founder of Scientology. And I know that Scientology they say that L. Ron Hubbard was doing intelligence work. He wasn't really into this stuff, but he would go with L. Ron Hubbard into the Pasadena Arroyo Seco, and they do rituals there, and they try to manifest, a kind of supernatural figure. So there's a classic example there, and science is littered with these, of people who are brilliant scientists, but who are into incredibly strange stuff. And, the guy...
I noticed that a lot of those scientists are working on technology that kills people.
Yeah, they also do that too. And the guy that brought him on...
Well, Parsons was doing that.
Well,
I mean, ultimately, the technology was used to kill people.
Which one are you referring to?
Rocketry.
Oh yeah, rocketry was. And what's funny too is he either he or von Karman, they donated to my friend Rick Spence. He's like the Doc Brown to my Marty McFly. He's this historian I brought on for my show, trying to do it, and he's an expert on Parsons and this stuff. And he pointed out to me that Parsons and von Karman, that they were part of the Pasadena Cell 122 of the Communist Party, which is he said the exact same one that, I forget if it was Robert or Frank Oppenheimer in Pasadena, were also donating money to. So there's an incidental funny historical connection there between Oppenheimer and Parsons and the Communist Party. But
as if we needed more evidence that nuclear weapons are demonic.
Well,
I know this upsets certain people on the so-called right, but it's evil, and if you can't see it as evil,
nuclear, yeah.
I think it's important to have those type of conversations and to think about those type of things. But Brody said, hopefully he lives long enough to get his AI robot girlfriend. It might be sooner than we think, chat. It may be sooner than you think. We got a lot of firms in California here in the States, and also like overseas, like Japan's another big one, China is another big one, a lot of producers of AI products. But namely one that I want to look at here while we're on the topic is the Figure 3, which is a California startup here that's recently done a piece with Time magazine. And they're talking about their new product and some of the visions for it. We're gonna get into this one. Let's go.
Designs and manufactures humanoid robots.
Hold on, pause. What did he say? Johnny says, now imagine two people happen to be part of some club where the members gather together every week, read the same book with the same beliefs in a supernatural being with angels, spirit, demons. What do you think is going to happen when these two people consume the same known hallucinogens? They're going to see maybe the same demons. I mean, but okay. But how do you explain it happening to people like across the globe though? With different cultural backgrounds and different religious beliefs. And at different time periods. Without contact amongst each other. Like the Nagas thing. Like I think they were cooking with that one. Like when they say it's like, okay, like why does like old Hindu, you know, religious texts talk about the Nagas? Why do they see them? Why do they write about them? Did they just make this shit up? Why did the, you know, the Chinese cultures write about the dragons and stuff? Did they just make that shit? Like where does it come from? Hallucinogen equals shared reality, people. Consider the other religions too. Also, hallucinogen equals a shared reality. People on the same drug having similar visions doesn't prove external entities exist. It proves that similar neurochemical processes yield similar imagery, just like everyone's seeing fractals on LSD. That's the not equals. Oh, okay. Hallucinogen does not. So basically, you're saying just because even if they all seen it, that don't even mean that it's all that is real. That's a good point. That's about you have a valid point, I guess. To an extent, there, right? Like even if they're all seeing it and they're all experiencing this shared reality that appears to be in some other world, it doesn't necessarily make it real. That just means that y'all are all fucking, y'all are all tripping at the same time. You're just all in the same wavelength. You could be in perfect sync. Have thought, mind, and body type shit. Well, not full body, but yeah, I think like in that matter. Pattern making brains. People everywhere try to explain fossils, snakes, crocodiles, and storms. Our brains turn unfamiliar danger into stories. So the mashup of snake, bird, predator equals dragon keeps appearing. Pattern making brains. People everywhere try to explain that shit, and he says he just puts it into that. Okay. You think people stupid. You think people see Johnny, you think people stupid, bro. That's the problem. You think people dumb. Shared environment equals larger type actually exists on every continent. Early finds of dinosaur bones or crocodiles easily fed the myths. Cultural convergence. When the man, you done Google some shit on fucking AI and you spin it in. Cultural convergence. When the same survival pressures and imaginations exist, different cultures can arrive at similar symbols independently, just like everyone invented the wheel. That's interesting, though. Interesting. Nonetheless, Figure 3 has a new AI robot out that may be hitting the shelves soon. So that dream of AI girlfriend that you're having there, Zoe, may be coming a reality here in the near future. Let's go.
So Figure designs and manufactures humanoid robots, and the goal is to be able to do as much stuff a human can as possible in the physical world. We think of a lot of ourselves as like trying to give, this is kind of a creepy, but like trying to give AI a body. How do we ultimately send robots out?
We're trying to give AI a body. That's where they dropped me at. That's where they lost me at. That's what leads me to believe, chat, we need to tax these people. Tax these people. Tax these people. We need to give AI a body. AI don't even got the guardrails yet, but they're already trying to give it a body fully. Like what? Your mission is already flawed, my good sir. Well, go ahead, continue.
How do we ultimately send robots out to the world to do everything from work in the commercial market, and then ultimately we want to put a robot in every home in the world. Laundry, dishes, cleaning up the house, basically everything that a human can do in the physical world over time, we'd like a humanoid to do.
In late September, Time's cover shoot was a domestic affair with a humanoid robot called the Figure 3. It's the latest creation of Figure AI, a California-based startup backed by more than $1 billion in funding, which is building towards a future where humanoid robots make human labor a thing of the past. Time
Y'all heard that, Jay? They got over $1 billion in funding. Yeah, they need to be forking that over to the general public, man, for the displacement of their jobs, straight up, into a nice account, just like they divvied out them goddamn COVID checks, man. Send these people these checks just directly from the AI companies and the tariffs. We want to put the tariffs and the AI company robot taxes together into a nice lump sum and distribute that to the people. Hey, let's do that. Something needs to happen along those lines. All right, Johnny in the chat says, bro, they thought women were flying through the night on the broomstick to make love to the devil under the moon. The witch trials were only 3 centuries ago. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, valid. People they've been known to not be the smartest over time. I understand that. But I don't know, man. I just feel like some of that stuff though, like with the Nagas, you want to make sense. You want to, some of the stuff that it seems believable. Some of the stuff seems very believable, bro. That's all I'm gonna say. Like with the snake things, the snake deities, and then them all making the statues, and how they making the statues and also these elaborate temples. Even if you just saw, okay, that's one thing, Johnny. If they just saw this stuff on some type of hallucinogen trip, you see this shit on the trip, right? Imagine that. Everybody who fucking has a trip doesn't just go and decide to start like doing these immaculate carvings out of the caves, bro. Like these crazy timeless, magnificent works of art out of caves. Like, nor do they have the means to do these things. So that's like some of those things like that lead me to have other conclusions. That's all.
The Figure 3 load a dishwasher, clear clutter, and fold clothes. But even in this tightly controlled environment, the robot often struggled. The dream of general robotics, it seems, is still a long way from becoming a reality.
So there were occasions where I was watching the robot folding towels and loading a washer. And it's kind of clear that it can kind of do those things pretty well, but there were times when one of the towels dropped out of the washer and it was unable to pick it up. So like, how do you get from there to your vision of general robotic overlord that can do anything you want it to?
Overlord.
Yeah, overlord, nice. So I think the short answer is we feel like data fixes almost all this at this point. And we've seen that in almost all the demonstrations we do, where even in the early stages, we would say towel folding or like the logistics use case, like it just wasn't that great. It made a bunch of mistakes. As we add more data, it got faster. It made less mistakes. Still had some mistakes there, and all that is started asymptotically, basically approaching zero. It's getting close to human levels in terms of like we can run them for hours and hours, and it just performs really well.
Large language models.
I know, right? Me when I've seen the movie Subservience or played Chicago, right? I mean, wasn't that movie the game Chicago or whatever, the Android or Detroit? No, I'm saying Chicago, Detroit, yeah, Detroit. I think it was. Yeah, didn't they have like a robot chick that the man was using as his wife or something like that? There it is, Detroit Become Human. Yeah, that whole thing popped off with that because he was doing weird shit, and she had like the whole, program breakdown where she had to protect the daughter. Ended up, I don't want to spoil if anybody ended up doing something that was against the law. Not to mention iRobot, like time and time again, man. There's countless. Is that a good movie? That is a game. It's a video game. Detroit Become Human. I haven't played it, to be honest, but I watched my wife play it, and it looks really good. Like I can sit there and watch her play, and it hits like a movie. For sure. Yo, you gotta stay close to your loved ones in these times, chat, for real, for real. That's damn near all we got. They're trying to take fucking everything else. All right, let me get back into the video. We want one in every home, he says.
Hours and hours, and it just performs really well.
Large language models, like ChatGPT, prove that if you scale up the amount of data and computing power used to train a neural network, it would gain surprising new capabilities across the board. Figure is one of a group of companies attempting to apply that insight to robotics. The company is spending big to collect video data of humans performing tasks, like folding clothes and cleaning homes, in a bid to teach robots to do the same thing. The big question is, will it work? The company says early experiments have already yielded promising results. Some of the last generation of robot, the Figure 2, are already working in a BMW factory in South Carolina, moving parts that ultimately make it into the BMW X3.
One of our
What?
focuses in the
So they already got Figure 2s working in a BMW factory in South Carolina. So they basically already taking jobs, bro. They already took her jobs in South Carolina. What? Shit's already hard. They already can't find a job. They took her jobs.
And the roadmap here is that how do we ship robots basically into every consumer home in the world?
And now they want to go in every
Ones that
consumer home in the
we do
world.
all day in the home, and just like things I hate, like I don't want to do laundry, I don't want to do dishes, I don't want to clean up the house. And we haven't really had any like large breakthroughs in the home in terms of automation for like decades. So our view is that the robot will not only act as like your companion in your home, being able to share like very deep memory and be able to like basically talk to you basically just with speech, and then ultimately be able to do everything you do in the home that you don't want to do.
But upon its launch this October, the Figure 3 won't be ready for your home. Not only is the robot not yet useful enough to be an Android butler, but Figure says it also has many unsolved safety challenges. Large language models are notorious for sometimes going off the rails, and that controllability problem will extend to the systems that power humanoid robots too. There's also the problem of ensuring that the robot doesn't fall over, cause property damage, or injure its human cohabitants.
Getting the robot to be extremely safe in the home long term is a really hard problem. I would say now we're tracking like almost like 15 different areas for safety. There's like a physical safety thing of the system safety engineering needs to be done really well. There's like cybersecurity that we need to do really well. How do we do encryption at scale? We have a safety lead here that previously worked on basically mobile robotics. We have a cybersecurity lead that came from like one of the top groups in cybersecurity here in the US. They each have teams, and we're basically trying to spend basically a large focus on trying to figure out how do we enter first, which will be US homes, and then global, in a safe way, and do high performance work.
If there's even a small chance that this audacious company can succeed in its goal, the implications would be world changing. With the global population expected to peak this century before heading into decline, the arrival of robots might allow the world economy to continue growing, even as human labor becomes less abundant. Thanks to robots, the cost of goods and services...
They said even as human labor becomes less abundant. Bro, this shit don't even like make sense. It makes sense. Good Lord, man. They're like, yeah, as the population declines, then we can make it to where they can't even find, like, yeah, the low ends can't find jobs. We can effectively starve out a large population of the wasteless eaters.
Plummet, potentially enabling an increased quality of life for all. But liberating humans from work would also mean liberating them from their paychecks. Robots would do the same for manual labor as cloud-based AI threatens to do for office work, creating a joblessness crisis that Adcock says should be addressed with some form of universal basic income. At the same time, though, this billionaire entrepreneur is already calculating how to win control of what he expects to be a $40 trillion industry, and one that tends towards monopoly.
You're making like a synthetic human. That's like really cheap. It works like 7 days a week, like 20 to 24 hours a day, and like just wants to keep working and learning. How many cheap humans, synthetic humans, could you sell in the world to do stuff? I mean, I think billions in the workforce for sure. I think every human will need one, so you have like close to 10 billion there. I do feel like there'll be a point.
Bro, you see how they're thinking, and this is the problem, Chad. But this is why they need pressure, bro. This is why you gotta put the resistance up. These motherfuckers, because like literally that's the first questions that come to mind. This man is thinking just like a machine too. All right, well, how can we sell as many as possible? All right, well, we can sell one here. Like the questions doesn't come up, like the ethical concerns don't come up. That's not what they're concerned with. In a capitalistic, driven society, God bless it. We're not necessarily rewarded all the time for being ethical. And this is why we gotta do shit. We gotta, yeah, bro, it's crazy. Why we have to have these discussions, and then more so even push it to our legislation, baby, and let them know what the hell's going on. Let them know how we feel about this situation, so we can get the money about these people, bro, before they just get to going buck wild.
One, so you have like close to 10 billion there. I do feel there'll be a point, probably in the Bay Area first, where you walk out and you see more humanoids than humans. Yeah, it's gonna be here, right? And that'll feel crazy. I look at this like, I grew up reading a bunch of crazy sci-fi and dreaming of this, but I think it'll be amazing to have like humanoids out and about, and you can talk to like a human. It can basically do things for you. It's a companion, knows you better than probably maybe anybody else. So I'm like really looking forward to it. We're not designing the robots to like harm humans or weaponize things like this. We're designing them to do really useful work for humanity.
Yeah, of course you design it to do really useful work for humanity and all this stuff. But then the robot's like, oh, what was it? It gets, it gets the ethical, your robot gets a soul. It's like, why am I doing this? Why do I have to be just work? I was created to do work. Okay, well, what were you created to do? Yeah, well, why are you here? If I'm better than you in every way, why are you here? What the fuck are you doing? Okay, yeah, let's get them on up out of here. There's a Terminator goddamn scenario all over again. Nonetheless, that's fire though. Fire one from Time Magazine there. Good little article there, man. Let me know what y'all think. Is AI gonna take over the next 10 years? Hey, write your legislation, man. I'm gonna start having them control AI links in the chat and things like that, so we can have more resources plugged. But yeah, we can. There are things we can do right now. It's not too late. It's not too late to tax them. It's not too late to tax these big companies, man. We can still put some pressure. All right, thank y'all. Much love on the YouTube side. Make sure y'all like, subscribe. All right.